Dear learners, welcome to the session on small groups. The objectives of these sessions are to understand the meaning of group, to understand the stages of formation of group, to know about the characteristics of group, to understand the functions of small group, to know about the types of group. First of all, I shall be taking meaning of group. A group is a collection of individuals who have regular contact and frequent interaction. In a group, one person's action have an impact on the others. That is, there is mutual influence. There is a common feeling of identification due to the sense of belongingness with a particular group, and group members come together to achieve a common set of goals. A small group is generally defined as a group that consists of at least 3 members and at the maximum around 12 to 15 members. A group that has just 2 members or more than 15 members would not come in the category of a small group. This is because there are 5 levels of communication. Among these 5 levels, the first level is intrapersonal, that is when we do self-talk. Then next comes interpersonal, which represents the dyadic relationship, which means there is communication between 2 people. Then the third level is small group. Small group represents communication among 3 to 12 or 15 people. The fourth level is public communication. This covers communication from one source to an audience. The fifth level is mass communication. This refers to the source using media to reach large audience. Small group is generally formed to solve a particular problem, make decisions, determine policies, and submit reports. The example of small group are personals committee, audit committee, report committee, grievance committee, etc. Now let us take up the stages of formation of group. Dear learners, there are 5 stages of formation of group. These are forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. These stages pertain to the formation of any group which is formed voluntarily by its members to meet certain common cause, objectives, or agenda. Now let's see each of these stages one by one. The first is forming. This is also known as orientation stage. The first stage of group development, that is the forming stage, represents the time when the group members are just beginning to come together. A group of people comes together to accomplish a shared purpose. In this stage, if the members do not know each other before, then the members start to form the initial impressions of each other. They generally exchange pleasantries with each other. Members are careful in their speech or actions while interacting, as they have yet not opened their personalities to others. This stage is driven by the desire to be accepted by all members of the group. Since not much is known about the group members, therefore this stage is associated with uncertainty. At this stage, the group is characterized with certain functions like achieving an understanding of the group's purpose, determining how the team is to be organized, and who will be responsible for what. Decisions regarding the vision, mission, and goals of the group are decided. Group members are in phase of learning what to do, how the group is going to operate, what is expected, and what is acceptable. So, this can be said that the group develops its orientation in the initial phase of the group development. This is why this is also known as orientation stage. Now comes the next stage of group formation, that is storming. This stage is characterized by power struggle. In this stage, a group grows from the level of unfamiliarity to the familiarity. Here, people develop a certain level of understanding about each other through their perception about the behaviors of the member. They tend to either like others or dislike. The uncertainty present in the forming stage is reduced as people become clear on specific roles and the purpose, rules and norms of the group gets cleared. The initial feelings of excitement and the need to be polite wears off gradually. This stage is therefore marked by conflict and competition as personalities and working styles begin to evolve. In this stage, sometimes team members may also disagree on the common goals formulated in the first stage, and subgroups or cliques may form too. Personalities may clash, members might disagree over how to complete a task or voice their concerns if they feel that someone is not doing his or her fair share of work that a group of people is doing together in a group. They may even question the authority or guidance of group leaders. Conflict develops when some group members are not satisfied with the role that they are or others are playing. This stage is therefore characterized with issues pertaining to the power struggle between the dominant members of the group. It is important in this stage to reduce and address the conflicts so emerge so that the problems do not occur later on. Avoidance usually makes the problem grow until it blows up. So, it is healthy to recognize conflict and resolve them early. This is pertinent to mention here that a conflict can be positive and productive if it is resolved amicably. However, a group that gets stuck at the storming stage will likely not have much success in completing its task or achieving its purpose. Now comes the third stage of group formation. This stage is characterized by cooperation and integration. In this stage of group development, conflicts gets resolved and working relationships are established among the group members. This brings the positive atmosphere to work functionally for the common group cause. This attribute of working positively leads to more stability, productivity and cohesion within the group. At this stage, there is a growing consensus among group members as to the roles that each person will play, the way group interactions will take place and the direction of the group. In this stage, the leaders that begin to emerge have typically gained the support of other group members and group identity begins to solidify. The group also starts getting recognition from those outside the group. This stage is called norming, as in this stage group norms are formulated and get well established. Group norms are the informal guidelines of behavior that provide some order and conformity to group activities. Norms are not explicitly taught. These are the behavioral features which form group culture. Norms bring a sense of predictability and stability that can allow a group to move on to the next stage of group development. Now the next stage is performing. This stage is characterized by synergy. At this fourth stage of group development, the group becomes clear about the structure of the group and the working relationships are well established. The team is mature, organized and has a sense of consensus and cooperation. Problems and conflicts, of course, do still arise, but they are dealt with effectively. During the performing stage of group development, group members work relatively smoothly towards the completion of a task or achievement of a purpose. The prime focus of the team is on problem solving and meeting goals, so effectiveness is at its peak. Since accomplishing something, even if it is small, can boost group morale, which in turn boosts cohesion and productivity. So one way to continue to build group cohesion during the performing stage is to set short-term attainable group goals. Now the next stage is adjourning. The adjourning stage of group development occurs when a group dissolves because it has completed its purpose or goal. Membership starts declining and support for the group no longer exists, or it is dissolved because of some other internal or external cause. Some groups may live on indefinitely and not experience the adjourning stage. Other groups may experience so much conflict in the storming stage that they skip norming and performing and dissolve before they can complete their task. For groups with high social cohesion, adjourning may be a difficult emotional experience. For groups that had negative experience, the adjourning stage may be welcomed. Now let us move on to the characteristics of a group. The first one is size. To form a small group, the number of group members ranges from 3 to 15. The group size is based on the capacity of the group members to have the ability to remain in direct communication. Since above 15, it is generally difficult for the members to keep direct communication, and therefore it becomes complex to manage group of a big size. The next point is goals. Every group has certain goals. Goals are the reasons for the individuals to join the group and the reason for the very existence of the group. Goals give the common direction towards which all the activities and the functions of the groups are based. The next characteristic is norms. Norms are the accepted standards or a way of behaving or doing things that most people agree with. Group norms are important for their contribution to social order. The next is structure. A group of any size has a structure. The structure is comprised of the group positions created for execution of the task to achieve the common goals. The structure is consolidated on the basis of the relationships set among the positions and delineation of associated duties and responsibilities embedded in the roles of the positions so created. The next is interdependence or interaction. Interaction is an important characteristic of a group. The quality of interaction among the group members gives way to the extent of cooperation among group members along with group cohesiveness. A group whose members meet frequently and interact can think together about what should or should not be done to carry forward the group goals. The group performance can only take place if there is group interaction. So, interaction is much needed. Without it, group's existence becomes questionable. The interaction between the group members can occur in several ways. That is, face-to-face, telephonic, in writing, or in any other manner. Now comes the next point, roles. Roles are the expected behaviors from individual due to their associated position occupied in the structure in the context. So in case of small group, besides the roles embedded in the notified positions of the group, that is, at least each member has to display the significant behavior of conforming with the norms of the group to remain as the group member. The next point is collective or shared identity. A group is an aggregation of individuals who are separately called as members and collectively called as group. These group members share cohesiveness towards each other due to the reason that each one is connected to each other through the presence of common goals. The goals are the common reasons for the individuals to join the group. Once joined a group, the individuals become member of the group and share the common identity formed by the common cause or goals. Now comes the functions of small group. The two elementary parts of effective group operation are task roles and maintenance roles. Under these roles are performed various functions. So, the functions performed under task roles can be grouped as task functions, and the functions under maintenance roles can be grouped as maintenance functions. What are task functions? Task functions keep groups headed towards decisions and actions, whereas maintenance functions help build a group's sense of identity and helps the social relationships in a group. Task functions includes activities like initiation, information seeking, information giving, opinion seeking, clarifying, elaborating, coordinating, developing procedures and summarizing. Whereas maintenance functions are all done to keep the positive social order intact. The various functions under this includes encouraging, expressing, compromising, facilitating, communication, setting norms, interpreting, listening, following, declaring success, etc. Now let us take up classification of groups. Groups can be classified as small group and large groups, primary groups and secondary groups, formal groups and informal groups. Let's see each one of these one by one. So first I'll take small group and large group. Based on the number of the members involved in a group, we can classify it as small group because small group consists of as little as 3 to 15 members. Such groups are usually well managed and organized. Whereas large group is made up of more than 15 members. These massive groups are challenging to be handled and these are unsystematic at times. Primary and secondary groups. A primary group is a group which is smaller in nature and characterized by close personal and intimate relationships that last a long time, maybe a lifetime. These relationships are deeply personal and loaded with emotions. The members typically include family, childhood friends, romantic partners, and members of religious group who have regular face-to-face and verbal interaction and a shared culture and frequently engaged in activities together. The ties that bind the relationships in primary groups are made up of love, care, concern, loyalty, and support. These relationships play important roles in the information of individuals' sense of self and identity, because these people are influential in the development of values, norms, morals, beliefs, worldview, and everyday behaviors and practices of all members of the group. Now, the secondary group. Secondary group comprises relatively of impersonal and temporary relationships that are goal or task oriented and often found in employment or educational settings. The relationship within secondary groups are organized around narrow ranges of practical interest or goals, without which these groups would not exist. Secondary groups are functional groups created to carry out a task or achieve a goal. Typically, a person becomes a member of a secondary group voluntarily, out of shared interest with the others involved. Common examples include co-workers in an employment settings or students, teachers and administrators in an educational setting. Such groups can be large or small, ranging from all the employees or students within an organization to the select few who work together on a project. Small secondary groups such as these often disband after completion of the task or their project. The average member plays a passive role and the warmth of the relationship in primary group is missing in the secondary groups. Now comes the formal group and informal groups. What are formal groups? Formal groups are deliberately created to carry out specific tasks for attainment of organizational goals. These groups have clearly defined authority responsibility relationships, communication channels, rules and regulations to govern the behavior of members. Formal groups can further be of two types, namely permanent formal groups and temporary formal groups. Permanent formal groups are formally represented on the organizational chart. They are also known as command groups and consist of managers and their subordinates. A functional or a product department are the forms of command groups. Permanent committees are also permanent formal groups. Now, temporary formal groups are formed to deal with specific problems. They dissolve once the problem is solved. Task groups, project groups, or ad hoc committees are the forms of temporary formal groups. These groups are frequently created by organization to respond to the changing environment and include people from different command groups. So in explaining permanent and temporary formal groups, three important terms have surfaced like command group, task group and committees. Now informal groups. When individuals associate with one another to serve their common interest or for self-satisfaction, they are known to form an informal group. These groups are not created by managers but spontaneously grow out of interaction amongst members of the formal group. Some of the most common informal groups are interest groups. The individuals who join hands for common purpose related to self-interest create an interest group. The next informal group is friendship group. The group which is formed as a result of personal choice by the individual who are already familiar and feel comfortable with one another and become friends is a friendship group. The next informal group is membership group. This is a group in which the members must get themselves registered and acquire a membership card or certificate for becoming a part of it. This is termed as membership group. Now, the next informal group is reference group. Reference group is a group to which one may not be having real membership, but it is the group to which an individual relates himself or herself due to the same profession or other similar attributes. This is reference group. Dear learners, we learned in this session about meaning of group, stages of formation of group, characteristics and functions of small group and types of group. This is all about this session on small groups. Thank you.